The A's made us believe after Thursday's game, and then on Saturday and Sunday got outscored 19-1. We're gonna talk about it today on Locked On A's. How's it going, A's fans, and welcome to episode 551 of the Locked On A's podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, noted baseball fan Jason Burke, and on today's show, I was in the clubhouse for a couple of these games, so I'm going to tell you about some of the vibes that were going around after Shintaro Fujinami's defeat, after Kyle Muller's win, he didn't really get the win, but whatever, it's fine. We're going to talk about all of those things, and then, some other random takeaways in the third segment as well. So that's what we got coming up for you guys on today's episode. But before we get into anything, today's episode is brought to you by Ultimate Baseball GM. I finally finished my season. I'm very excited about that. But if you've ever dreamed of becoming a Major League Baseball GM and managing your own franchise, then this game is definitely for you. To download the game, just visit ultimatebaseballgm.com or look it up in the app stores. Our listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchises when using the promo Locked On, all caps, in the game. You definitely need that code to succeed in this game. Let me tell you, it is hard sledding at the beginning of that game. But also, make sure to follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at @JasonB on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way. Whenever A's news happens, it's at Inside the A's. I'm going to use some of the quotes that I got this weekend on today's episode. If you want all of the quotes, go over to Inside the A's and check it out over there because there's a lot of them and they're nice. I'm still getting used to writing game recaps, which is why I'm not going to probably do a lot of them this season because I'm not going to be at every game. So I don't want you guys to get used to having a game recap up at Inside the A's when I'm not there because that just feels disingenuous. So I try to find something else like, oh, hey, this game, here's what happened, but here's what's kind of happening otherwise. After Thursday's game, I talked about Kyle Muller and Shea Langeliers' relationship, as a battery and as two guys that have known each other for a while. So that was a lot of fun. We're going to talk about that a little bit here in the second segment, but let's start with just the A's weekend because oh man, not great. Not a great weekend. The series itself, it was fine. They lost 2 out of 3. Whatever, that happens. Also, they were facing Shohei Ohtani, who they've now beaten in back-to-back starts. He didn't get the loss, but whatever, it's fine. And then also Patrick Sandoval, who I think has an under 1 ERA against the A's since the start of last year. He's been really, really good. And then Tyler Anderson, sure, he was fine too. So they faced 3 really good starting pitchers. Not a lot to really take away from that. We want to see how they do against like the Pirates and the Cubs in a couple of weeks. Those should be more interesting series to gauge where the A's are. Not like the top of the Angels when they're at full health. There was some stuff that happened this weekend we're not going to talk about. Anthony Rendon had himself a weekend, but just not on the field. But let's talk a little bit about Fuji because that was my main takeaway from, well, not my main takeaway. My main takeaway was Kyle Muller being amazing. But Fuji was the guy that everybody wanted to talk about on Saturday, and everything there was anticipation building from the moment that his press conference began, from the moment that he signed with the A's for that start, and he got on the mound, and it looked really good for a couple of innings there. Let me tell you, he looked amazing. He was relying fastball splitter. He was doing his business, and then in the third inning there, he stopped doing that a lot. The only out that he got in that inning was a sac fly off of the bat of Anthony Rendon. The aforementioned Anthony Rendon. He was just going fastball splitter. It was working for him. Nobody could hit it. Mike Trout got gift because he couldn't hit the split. He started off so well, so much promise. And I believe that he was pumping like 99.6. He was almost hitting triple digits. I think that on TV it said 100 because they round up, but it was 99.6 according to StatCast. So I'm going with 99.6. But what? And then the splitter, I think it topped out at 94 or something. That's a really hard splitter, you guys. He showed the potential, and I think that Shea Langeliers kind of touched on that a little bit. He said, "quote Obviously today didn't go the way we wanted it to go, but I think this the start of the game showed you what it could be, and that's exciting." End quote. Shea Langeliers great talk. I love talking to Shea Langeliers, let me tell you. Fuji, after his start, we interviewed him a little bit, and he said, quote, "In the third inning, I threw too much off speed. Just getting on a big league mound is not enough. Next time, I'll try to be better," end quote. He said a lot of things like that. He took the questions. It was good. He was asked if just being on the mound was great, and like, how did that feel? He's like, that's what he said. It wasn't. It's not enough for him to just be on the mound. He wants to also have success, which he did for a couple of innings there. And I think that the real takeaway from the Shintaro Fujinami experience for me came in the clubhouse. Seth Brown walked over to him and, asked Issei, his interpreter, to relay some stuff to him. And so myself and Matt Kawahara saw that. We went over and talked to Seth Brown, and we asked him, hey, what did you say to Fuji? What was your message to Fuji? Obviously, it was going to be of support, but what did you say? And he said, I told him that this is the big leagues, and you're facing the best hitters in the world. His stuff looks fantastic. Just stay confident and keep going out there and doing what he's doing, because it's all progress and it's all process. He also told Fuji, that's end quote, I guess, but he also told Fuji that the best in the world get banged up. They get hit at the big league level, and just stay confident because his stuff looks nasty. And I think that is kind of one of my main takeaways from being in the clubhouse for a couple of games is the camaraderie that all of these guys have with one another. There's a big support system with this group, and they know that some guys are more veteran, like Seth Brown. He's one of the longest tenure days currently, both from when he was drafted and also on the actual Oakland days. And he's taking a little bit of a leadership role, talking to a guy that he's excited to watch, I would imagine, throw some baseballs every Saturday at this point. And I talked to Ryan Noda a little bit before Thursday's game, just to say happy birthday and, say, hey, congrats. And he said that Tony Kemp has been preaching, all spring that, they're a family because of all the time that they spend together, and that they're trying to really build a unit there. And Aledmys Diaz seemed like a really cool guy. I liked him a lot. Shea Langeliers, very friendly, very just open to talking. He was cool. Kyle Muller, we're going to talk about him in here in a second. He was one of my favorite players. I really enjoyed Kyle Muller, which is why we're going to devote an entire segment to him. There's a lot of guys here. I talked to a bunch of them, and they were all very, very good guys, I think. And I think that is a cool thing to, I don't know. Obviously, you guys are going to want them to score more than one run and not, lose 19-1 over the span of 2 games. Sure. But I think that there's a good group of guys here that we can rally behind. And I think that that's what my main takeaway was, and that's kind of what I wrote about over at Inside the A's after Fuji's start. Is there's still belief here. Mark Kotsay was talking about he gets banged up, it's fine. Brush it off, move on to the next one. We're going to go over some of his pitch selection in that third inning, but his stuff looked good. He was doing it for the first 2 innings. This is my opinion, but I think that the Angels had a better idea of what to do the second time around when they started facing him. Also, I believe that it was Rengifo and Ohapi. They were 7 and 9 in the order, I believe. They were the only 2 guys that were in the starting lineup that had actually seen him before in his first start in spring training. And so that was something that I thought, those 2 guys were part of the rally that started everything. And once Rengifo walked, I was like, ooh, this could be the ending that things fall apart, and it was. And people tried to blame me for cursing it, but I'm like, he already walked the guy. That's kind of the telltale sign, I think. So that for him to have success, he needs to not spiral as much. If you get spiral just a little bit, that's fine. Give up 3 runs and then get out of it. That'd be great. But the Angels sent 15 men to the plate. That was a lot. They scored 8 runs. He gave up 8 runs in this outing. His final line was 2 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 8 runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks. A couple of those came around when Adam Oller entered the game, and he allowed a couple of those runs. But he allowed, I believe, 6 when he was pulled. It was a rough game, gotta say. Also, just a side note, I talked to David Fletcher because I wanted to see what he thought about Fuji's stuff. He wasn't in the starting lineup, but I just wanted to say, hey, you were the first guy to face Shintaro Fujinami. What were your takeaways off of the few pitches that you saw? He's like, the splitter was good. I was like, how would you rate that splitter? He's like, it's one of the better ones that I've seen. He's not a man of many words, but he he was smiling the whole time, and I really enjoyed talking to David Fletcher. I also asked if he knew that he is basically a nemesis to Oakland A's fans, that he is like the guy that we're like, this guy again, man. And he's like, I like coming here. I do well here. And he said it with a smile. And I think that he actually has the highest batting average of anybody to play in the Coliseum, including like Ichiro, who was a famous nemesis. I think that David Fletcher is the A's #1 nemesis at the Oakland Coliseum. And I thought that was funny. I asked him if he also has tormented anybody else as much as he has A's fans. And he's like, I hope so. But he said it again with a smile. David Fletcher seemed like a very, very nice guy. I know that we all begrudgingly, we don't root for him, but, he's good. He's like, this guy again. And I think that that's kind of like the Angels and A's fan experience with one another is, we had all those years, 20 years ago, where it's like, going back and forth. And now we're like, whatever happens. How are you guys doing? We're doing good. Cool. Okay, cool. I think that's kind of how it is with David Fletcher right now, because the A's aren't good right now, but neither are the Angels. Maybe the Angels are good, but they're also healthy. Their big test is going to be depth this season. So that was it was an interesting series. I was there for 2, and they did okay. In one of them. That Thursday's game was a lot of fun, and we're going to focus a little bit more on that coming up on Locked On A's. Today, our sponsor is one of the most addicting games that I have played in quite a while, and that is Pro Baseball GM. I always thought that I'd be a pretty good general manager. I gotta say, I thought that I'd be really good at it, and it is not that easy, as it turns out. If you've had the same thought and fantasized about managing your own franchise, go download Pro Baseball GM immediately, because it will suck up all of your time, and it's a lot of fun. And you got the promo code right over there, or the scan code, I guess, and just use Locked On. You get a little boost to help you try and achieve your GM dreams, because you got to hire the right coaches and staff. You got to manage team finances. You got to scout and draft players. You got to manage through difficult personalities and injuries, navigating your franchise through free agency and all of the ups and downs of a season. As I said in the opener, I finally completed my 25 seasons. I am now eligible for the prize that all Locked On hosts are competing for. And I believe that I haven't checked in the last couple of days since I finished, but I believe that I am second, only behind the Cleveland Guardians host, Jeff. And maybe we'll make a bet where I can have his prize if the A's win, if the A's sweep the Guardians. I don't know. We'll figure something out there. But this game is so much fun, and you gotta just try it out for yourself and see for yourself. And Locked On A's listeners get a 100% free boost to their franchise when using the promo Locked On in the game store. So make sure to check it out. To download the game, visit probaseballgm.com, scan the code, or look it up in the app stores. That's probaseballgm.com. Ultimate Baseball GM. Start your dynasty today. Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I am a by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way whenever A's news happens. It's at Inside the A's. That is at Inside the A's on Twitter. Just check it out. That you don't miss articles over there. You can also go to Facebook too if you like Facebook, but I prefer Twitter, and so Facebook is lagging behind sometimes. I apologize, but also the URL is si.com/MLB/athletics. I had a buddy ask me if I just go up to people and be like, "Hey, Jason Burke, Sports Illustrated," and I was like, I hadn't been, but my wife saw the URL. I was like, "You should," and so I did on Saturday, and he's like, "That's pretty baller, man." I was like, sure, I guess it's technically in the URL, so it's not a lie, and I don't feel bad about it. Also, the A's PR guy, he introduced me as Jason Burke from SI, so I think that it's fine. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also, thank you so much to everybody. We had a push for 1,000 subs. I mentioned it on opening day. We had made it. We're like 1,070 now. We have smashed that, so thank you to everybody. I think Christian Pache getting traded kind of helped. Also, he went 0 for 3 with a strikeout on Sunday on national TV. So, hey, maybe the A's did a good thing. Maybe. We'll see. TBD. I don't know. I had some big thoughts about Christian Pache getting traded, so I'm not ready to just phoned that one in yet. But let's talk about Kyle Muller, because he was fantastic on the mound on Thursday. Went 5 innings, gave up 1 run, 4 hits, struck out 3. Very solid start. And a lot of guys, a lot of people, myself included, were like, Kyle Muller got the start. That's interesting for opening day. I hadn't met him. I didn't know him. But judging by the stats and all that stuff, and him being very new to the team, having 12, was it 12 starts? 14. He hadn't pitched that much in the majors. Let's say that. The Thursday start actually took him off the prospect list, so there's that. So he's no longer a prospect because he has enough innings, but he was on that cusp. He hadn't pitched that much. And Aledmys Diaz, this is what made me really like Aledmys Diaz, actually. He said that when I saw how Kyle Muller reacted to getting the nod for opening day, I knew he was going to go out there and have a good game, because he's been great for us, and I liked that. He was very supportive of his teammate, who he didn't know up until like a month and a half ago, and I thought that was really cool. That he was like, yeah, I knew that he'd handle it. He was great. Shea Langeliers said before the game that for Muller to have success, he was going to have to command his fastball and then work his other pitches off of that. He said after the game that that's what he did. So Kyle Muller had a good time, and as we all congregated around him, there was a lot of media there on Thursday. Let me tell you, between Shohei Ohtani starting and also it being opening day, lots of people there. Lot fewer people there on Saturday. But everybody went over to Kyle Muller once he was ready and showered and had fed and all that stuff. And somebody was just like, hey, was it everything that you dreamed it would be? And Kyle Muller smiled and kind of deadpanned, but you could tell that he was just exuding joy. He was having so much fun. And he said, it's the best day that I've ever had on a baseball field. And I tweeted that out immediately, because what a quote. That's what you want to hear right there. He was just so lovely to talk to. Really enjoyed him. He had he talked a little bit about him getting pulled after the 5th, and he said that obviously he would like to go out in the 6th and whatnot later on, but he had a conversation with Mark Kotsay, and with the off day on Friday, he was only at 72 pitches. With the off day on Friday, Kotsay was able to empty out the bullpen because they had the off day coming up, and he was like, yeah, that's the right call. So no big deal. I want to go further next time. And also, he's going to be facing the lineup a 3rd time through the order. He understood the thought process that Mark Kotsay was having, and he was totally cool with it. He's like, I did it. We're fine. Cool. I'm doing great. I also talked to him a little bit after the other reporters left, and I thought that he was great. I asked him just like, hey, could you tell me a little bit about your time with Shea Langeliers and how that's gone for you? How integral was he in this start? And he said that, actually they're housemates. They live together. And so they went over the game plan on Wednesday night to get on the same page. And you know what? How about you just hear it from him?
It's just super cool. We're both in the same spot in our career. We have kind of similar amount of days in the major leagues. And so being able to share that experience with him, it's his first time doing it as well. So I remember we were doing the anthem. We were just talking about it, dude, we're the opening day battery, man. Like, this is sick. And
he was just fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed everything that he had to say. And he talked about his relationship with Shea Langeliers. They apparently they had both been in AAA in the Brave system together. I think they threw to Muller threw to Langeliers once. But they also played in travel ball in high school, I believe. And so they'd known each other for a while, and now they're making the big leagues together, and that is what made that moment for them so special and so important. And it's just pretty cool. They're at the same spot in their careers, is something that he said. And, it's just special to be sharing it with him. And you could see that they're good friends. And I think that something like that could... And maybe that's why the A's wanted Muller in this deal, is because one, he's 6'7", and also he has that relationship with their starting catcher now, Shea Langeliers, and they were like, hey, these two together, they could be something special. They have that relationship, and sometimes you need that. You need that to get that extra little bit out of a guy like Kyle Muller. And, we'll see what happens in his start against Cleveland on Wednesday, but very excited to see what Kyle Muller does the rest of the season, because I think that he's definitely earned his spot in the rotation, even once Paul Blackburn and once Drew Rosinski are back and available. I think that, Kyle Muller might be the guy that's able to stay, because he's done it. And he's got that special relationship with Shea Langeliers, and I think that could go a long way. Also, I need to talk to them about this, but just because they seem to like each other, not like in a friendship way. In a friendship way, they seem to like each other a bit, and they get along on and off the field. And I want to play. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do this, but some sort of like a newlyweds game where you ask them a question and they write it down on the chalkboard, and then they flip it over, and you see what hilarity ensues. Like, I want to know who's faster, Kyle Muller, who's 6'7", or Shea Langeliers, who led the team in sprint speed last year. I think that would be a fun question. See who thinks they're faster, and then have them race. I don't know. But I thought that would be a fun time. I'm going to need cameras for that. I'm going to need microphones. I don't have those resources, so maybe I'll outsource it to like a social media. But I think that that'd be a lot of fun. Just a thought. But yeah, I also, before the game, asked on Thursday, asked Shea Langeliers if he knew that he led the team in sprint speed. He's like, yeah, actually, I saw that somewhere, actually. He said that laughing. And I asked him if he was going to steal some more bases, and he said, we'll see. We'll see. I might have blown up a spot. I don't know. But he said, we'll see. And I was like, well, you're hitting in front of Ruiz today, so any little boost you got would be helpful, I'd imagine. And we laughed. And then I wished him good luck this season. So that was that. But coming up, we're going to talk about some other takeaways, some StatCasty takeaways to go back to the roots of Locked On A's, because I thought that would be interesting. And I think that there are some interesting things that happened over the weekend. So we're going to talk about those coming up. Today's episode is also brought to you by Built Bar. The Built March Madness bracket is here, and we know that you have a favorite bar or puff, and now it's your time to make it count. Go to BuiltMarchMadness.com to vote for your favorites. You know that I'm going to be voting for raspberry, because that's the bar that seems to be hitting my taste buds the best of late. And if you want either the A's or the raspberry bar to win, you'll be voting for that bar too. Support your team, support your bar or puff, and when you vote for your favorite bar or puff, you will be entered into a drawing where 50 lucky Locked On listeners will get a free box of Built. Not only that, but one Locked On fan will win a 12-month subscription to Built to have Built's best bars or puffs delivered monthly straight to your door. You gotta try Built, because Built is the best protein bar ever. Seriously, they're so amazing. You're going to think that they're not good for you, but they are good for you. What makes Built Bars and Puffs so good? Well, for starters, they are high in protein, low in sugar, and covered in 100% of that real chocolate. That good real chocolate. That's not part of the copy, but I liked it anyway. So run to BuiltMarchMadness.com right now to vote for your favorite bar or puff and pick up a box while you're there. You can vote for your favorite any day in March, and I am assuming April as well. So hop in to support your pick. Go Bars! Welcome back to the Locked On A's podcast. If you guys are enjoying the show, make sure to subscribe wherever you like to hear podcasts. Follow us on social media at Locked On A's on Twitter and Instagram. I'm by Jason B on Twitter. Check out Inside the A's for more A's news, insight, and analysis coming your way whenever A's news happens. It's at Inside the A's. That's si.com/athletics/ No, wait. si.com/MLB/athletics. I was like, I said athletics. That's weird. Anyways, fun story about our last sponsor there. Johnny Doskow, Johnny D, as I like to call him. In my head, I haven't called him that to his face yet, but it's coming. He was in the press box, and on Thursday, this is maybe one of the highlights of my weekend. Johnny D comes up to me in the clubhouse. I've been there for a couple of minutes. I'm nervous as all hell because I have not been in the A's clubhouse in a while. It's in a different spot now. It's where the Raiders used to be. It is a bigger clubhouse. And Johnny D comes up. He's like, "Hey, Locked On A's, how's it going, man?" And I was like, "Holy crap, Johnny Doskow knows who I am." And then he started like being like, "Oh yeah, remember when you said this? That was great." And then like multiple episodes, he listens to that was fantastic. I was taken aback, and I really like Johnny D. and we're going to, I haven't talked to him about it yet. I said it immediately, but we haven't like set any plans, but we're going to try and get him on the show, because why not? He's going to do his first game, I believe it was April 14th or 15th. It's in the middle. It's in the middle of April. So keep an ear out for Johnny D. And if you don't know who Johnny Doskow was, he was their River Cats announcer for many, many years, back when they were the A's affiliates, and now they're a Giants affiliate, and he was like, I like the A's. So he's coming to the A's broadcast team. He's going to be doing a lot of road games, and, just in case you don't know who he is, we'll introduce him to you guys through my fan base, which is a thing that's weird to say still. 1,000 followers on subscribers on YouTube. So big deal over here, you guys. But yeah, Johnny D, knowing who I was amazing. And it seemed like everybody else was kind of familiar too. Martin Gallegos remembered me because he was on the show a couple years ago. That was great. Talked to him. I told him that my mother-in-law loves his work because it's true. Every Thursday night, I go downstairs and I'm like, and I just feel like making coffee. You're like, oh, hey, you read this Martin Gallegos piece? I'm like, the newsletter? She loves the newsletter. Gotta say, she loves the trivia. So, got to tell Martine about that. I'm going to see if we can take a picture together, and then I'll print it out in a glossy, I don't know, 8x10, whatever size pictures are, and then have him sign over my face an inscription to her, because I think that would be probably the best gift that she could ever get. I don't know that she knows what he looks like, but it'd be fun. I can take it with anybody, really. Maybe I'll have Johnny D do it, too. Just have everybody sign over my face. But anyways, those aren't my takeaways. My other takeaways here from StatCast. Let's get into those real quick. Adam Oller in relief. He threw some different pitches, and the Baseball Savant was not loading very well in the press box. There was a lot of people there, and so the internet was working a little bit slow on my end. Maybe it's my computer being bad. I don't know. But yeah, I wasn't able to keep up with this stuff in the moment. So I looked it up before I recorded, and interesting. I'm going to have to talk to Adam Oller and maybe Sam Moll before tomorrow's game. But Adam Oller in relief. He went 35% curveball, which is not a pitch that he was throwing that much last year, and 35% fastball. He had threw 28 each of those, and I believe he threw 81 pitches total, so that's a big swath. Obviously it's 70% of his pitches, but big swath of his pitches, those two, curveball, fastball. I assume he was working with the good tunnel. Good tunnel right there. Also, he threw 0 sinkers, 0 sliders, and those were 20% of his pitches in 2022. Also, the curveball was working very, very well for him, so maybe that's what it was as opposed to a change in what he's doing. Maybe it was I have a good feel for this pitch on this day, or maybe against this specific lineup. So things that I am now intrigued by. I'm always intrigued by Adam Oller. I have not been able to talk to him yet, but he's seen me staring at him and hoping that he would be like, yeah, come over here. He knows. He knows I want to talk to him, mostly also about that Marlins start and see if what happened there. But because I'm going to harp on that until I talk to him about it. So we're going to hopefully get that done before too long. And then on Saturday, he didn't throw the slider or the sinker, but he did go curveball, fastball, cutter at 21%, and changeup at 9.9%. Mostly those were against lefties. So that was an interesting pitch mix going from 2022 to now. He's dropped a couple of pitches, maybe trying to focus a little bit more on the other 4. Maybe it was just because he was facing the Angels. I don't know. I'm intrigued to find out what that was about now that I know that it happened. Also, Sam Moll, a noted slider and sinker guy, he added a changeup? Question mark? We're going to have to ask him about that, because here's my thing with Baseball Savant right now. Everything's a friggin' sweeper. I don't know if they just updated everything, and now some are sweepers and some are sliders, but everything's a sweeper now. So everybody throws a sweeper. Everything's a sweeper all the time. And so I want to know if he did, in fact, add a changeup to offer just a slightly different look. I'm going to need to talk about that because Savant says that he threw 2. I want to know more about that. So that's what I'm intrigued on. heading into the Guardians series and heading into, me going back to the press box on Tuesday. And then I won't be there for the road games, obviously, because I'm a home guy. But then hopefully I'll be there a couple of times during the Mets series. There's Jackie Robinson Day, and also there's going to be the reunion. So there's going to be, I'm going to have to do some research and ask some guys some questions. If you have a question for a member of the 1973 World Series winning Oakland Athletics team, let me know what you guys are thinking, because I've read about them. I know who they are, but anything you guys want to know, let me know down in the comments below. But that is all that I got for you guys today. It was a very fun weekend, personally, for me. I had a great time. The A's, I don't know that they had as good of a time, but it seemed like they were supporting each other. They're still optimistic. It's 3 games into the season. Of course they're still optimistic. Seth Brown wants to win games, so he's going to do what he can to win some games. Coming up on tomorrow's show, we'll talk about tonight's game against the Cleveland Guardians. It's going to be James Kaprielian against Plesac, I believe. See what happens there. The Guardians just took 3 out of 4 from the Seattle Mariners, so they kept the A's out of last place for now, but they might put them there coming up this series, so we'll see. But I still think that the A's are going to be a good team. The bats just weren't there. Obviously, it was freezing cold. It was freezing cold all weekend. I think it was 52 degrees at game temperature on Saturday for an afternoon game. It was cold. The ball's not traveling. The Angels had an okay time with hitting the ball hard, but that's the A's need the warmer weather, I think, with some of the bats that they got. But we'll talk about that on tomorrow's show and throughout the week. Maybe we'll talk about, actually, I'm not going to talk about it tomorrow because it'll be too far away. But if you want to know about some of the guys that are doing very well in the A system, the Aviators have been playing some games, and Kevin Smith is, oh my God, on fire. Kevin Smith is literally on fire, you guys. JJ Bleday doing fairly well. Tyler Soderstrom hitting the crap out of the ball. I wrote about all of that over at Inside the A's. I'll throw that for the audio listeners. That'll be down in the show notes for you guys. So go check out that article. But that's all that I got for you guys today. So until next time, go out and celebrate good times, A's fans, and I'll talk with you tomorrow.